Have you got a story to share? A moment, an experience, something that happened that you believe that can help someone else? Well, my name's Jay from Journey of a Whitefeather, and I run a show live on Spotify and YouTube called A Chat with Jay. A chat with normal everyday people who have experienced heartache, joy, and love in their life, and they want to share it with you because they believe that their experiences can help someone out there. Become a guest, remove your mask, and tell your story, and always be the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be.
G'day guys, this is Jay here from Journey of a Whitefeather, kangaroos, koalas, Steve Irwin impersonations, and a sore voice from doing the YMCA at the St. Albans Festival. You know, I'm in a Village People tribute. Yeah, very controversial these days, a rumour has it. But more importantly, we've got a friend of mine who is west about 8 hours. But we're in Adelaide, South Australia, home of Rhea Ripley, WWE Women's Champion, mind you. And this is Bec here, and she is the owner of Sleepfearly, if I'm correct, and she's a holistic counselor. And I met her on TikTok, and her story is incredible. And this is what I do. I go hunting for great stories, ladies and gentlemen, because everyone's got a message, everyone's got a lesson, everyone's got a gift to give to the world. And this is my gift to give the platform to these lovely people that I'm talking to. And it's a pleasure. We've had many chats. We're even going to have a chat about the shift, maybe. We'll see how we go.
So much power in sharing stories. So thank you for reaching out. And yeah, thank you for having me on today. It's awesome.
Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, this lady here is going to tell you her story. And this is the stories that need to be told, ladies and gentlemen. Everyone's recovering or what they've done in their life, they need to be celebrated, but not even just celebrated. It's a teaching point. There's so many teachers out there. We're going to a point where academics fantastic, don't get me wrong, but bring in real life experience and having people guide you because they've been through it. This lady is exactly what I'm talking about. Bec, floor's yours.
Born in Sydney. Moved to Adelaide when I was about 3 years old. Really just to start a new life with my mum and my sister. And then my stepdad came out from Sydney, and we became a family there. And both my mum and my stepdad both had a pretty traumatic upbringing themselves. So you add those two people together, and it was pretty implosive, to be really honest. That kind of relationship. My mum was strict but fair, and I always knew how much she loved me, and we're super close now. She lives 5 minutes away, and she's my bestie. I can tell her anything.
That's great.
My stepdad, he had a lot of anger. He was drinking a lot in my younger years, and most of my childhood really was a bit of flight and fight mode, constantly kind of tiptoeing around depending on his mood. When it was high, it was high. When it was low, it was low. And I think I was remembering when I wrote this about tying him up once when he was drunk and sleeping around the side of the house with our blankets, and then waiting for him to untie himself and run up and down the road. And I remember thinking growing up how funny that was, and now I don't. I actually, it brings me a lot of sadness now. And I think
I ask everyone about past traumas and past emotions that come in, because we do have memory triggers that come in. How do you feel now? I'm sorry, we're going back off the topic. This is what I do to help with understanding. Have you learned from that, or have you embraced that emotion, understanding how you felt so you can teach it to other people, and how have you made it better for yourself? How have you created strength within yourself with that?
Definitely, I have found peace with it. I think going through psychiatrist and psychologist, and reliving some of these moments, even in healings. Some of the healings that I've done, I've taken myself right back to situations that have happened with my dad or in my life, and I've relived it and actually processed it. And I think that is so important, because often we hold on to trauma, we don't deal with it. and therefore it just continues to crop up time and time, and we kind of deal with it by acting out on it. So yeah, lots of therapy and lots of self-love and self-care, and
So
yeah,
how
I
did
can talk about it
so
and disassociate myself a little bit more from it now.
absolutely. So what about I'll go before you keep going. You dealt.
Yeah.
Everyone goes, we deal with our pain, or we deal. You have to go and deal with it. When someone said to you, "Deal with it," what did you go? Okay, how the fuck do I do this?
Yeah, it's funny because I remember my life history used to come up every time I was wasted. Like there'd be a tipping point in the night where it'd be fun, and then all the stuff, all the trauma would come up, and I'd tell anyone that listened. And I remember a friend saying to me at the time, "Babe, like it's the past, get over it." And I remember at the time thinking, "Oh my God, that's so freaking cold. What a bitch." But now I actually realize it wasn't for her to fix, it was for me to fix. And
Yes.
no one wants to hear your story time and time again if you're actually not going to work through it and process it. Like and they're not equipped to take that on.
No.
But yeah, I
No.
remember, I still remember her saying it. And I just, at the time, I thought, wow, that's so cold. But I just thought, but she's heard the story 100 times and she's sick of it. And I don't
Yeah.
blame her. You know,
Uh,
there's a point where your friends are enabling your behavior. And at some point, and I love Mel Robbins because she's got this great podcast around no one's coming to save you. And I friggin' love it because nobody is. You got to do the
no, it's
work
not
yourself.
exactly right, and you've got to have great mentors. I bet you had a few mentors yourself. I had Greg, Michael, and Deirdre when I went through. Continue with the story. Sorry to interrupt there because that's just an
No.
important point there that we got out there, which is great.
Yeah, no, please do if anything comes up. So yeah, I was 8 years old when I was first taken from school into a women's shelter. When my
Wow.
stepdad had hurt my mum, he'd actually hit her over the head with a bottle, and so it's kind of you went in your school clothes, and I still remember these people and how amazing they were all these years on. So I did stop drinking after that. So he swapped alcohol for smoking pot, which
Okay.
calmed him down a little bit, made him paranoid, but also it meant that we still didn't go anywhere or couldn't do anything because he was always high. So kind of he was a Jekyll and Hyde. So behind closed doors, he didn't really want anyone in our little family unit. So if anyone was coming over, he'd nag my mum and nag and nag and nag for days and days and days, and then they'd turn up and he'd go, "Oh, hey mate, how you going? Come in." And mentally, that was really hard to deal with. But then you would jump on the high because so you jump on that mood as well, like because that was when he was like that. Everybody loved him, including us, and just as I didn't understand that a lot of it was his trauma, but I still loved him because he was my dad, and you don't actually realize that that's kind of not normal behavior when that's all you've grown up with as well. So
Yeah, I understand
he'd
that.
do things like put hairs around the house on things to see, what you touched, and he would hide my mum's things so that she wouldn't leave it. So there's a lot of control in the house. So when I started drinking at 15 years old, this rage surfaced in me, and I would get drunk, and all this anger I
Wow.
had just started to explode. At 16, I was sexually assaulted by somebody a couple of years older than me in a park behind a garage. I was out drinking and I blamed myself for it. I didn't tell my parents, just fueled more anger in me. So I'd already been feeling insecure. I was skinny and I had a big gap in my teeth and I didn't feel normal and I didn't know what was going on in my life.
Yep.
And, it was a lot of name calling at home. Not
Yep.
with mum, but with dad, with, being called imbeciles and stupid and that kind of, yeah. So it kind of just finished off any self-esteem that I had when that happened. So 17, I started dabbling with LSD, speed and pot. And by 18, I was literally smoking pot every day. My parents had split up at this stage and I was living with my stepdad and it was only him and I in the house and he was doing night shifts. So suddenly I'm an adult, living on my own, pretty much every night. And so, pot was my refuge really to get to sleep and to,
Yep.
and to cope. 21, I moved to Sydney and then went straight into the party scene, 4 nights a week, everything happening there. And that's when I started getting into meth and pills and
Wow.
rush, LSD, Duromine was quite big at this stage, which
Oh,
was a
right. Yeah.
dope
Yep.
pill.
Yep.
Couple of years into that, one night I put a literally the whole bag of meth into a drink at a work function, and off the back of that, I ended up pregnant, and I didn't keep the baby, and I buried that so far down for so many years, the shame, the everything else that yeah, that was buried pretty deep. And in the last 4 years of recovery,
Yep.
during the healing, I went back to that moment and yeah, kind of lived it as if I was
Better.
having the baby. And that might sound so weird to some people,
No, not at
but
all.
it was the most spiritual thing for me, and an awakening, and I found
When
so
was
much.
it? When was the awakening there, Beck?
Oh,
When did you
that
have
was my
that?
first year of sobriety. So that was 3 years
Okay.
ago.
Oh,
Yeah.
so it's only been 3 years since you've done it. That's awesome. You've done a
Oh,
wonderful job.
yeah.
Geez, that's a
Yeah.
huge get. I mean, getting from where you were 3 years ago to where you are now, healing people, and the way you've changed it. You've just absolutely flipped your life 360. I'm going to ask you the devil's advocate question, though. Have you had people come up to you? Okay, hang on, I'll rephrase the question. Um, we live at a bit of a tall poppy type syndrome, and it's a case where people might know the old you compared to the new you, and people go, they can change, but you can't, because you have actually grabbed it by the kahunas and gone, right, I'm going to take this life the way I'm supposed to, where they don't have the guts.
Mm.
Have you had sort of throwback to say you're still like that? Have you had throwback like that, or have you just sort of eliminated it, or how are you coping with that if you are, or
I reckon it actually happens organically. So what I've found is that not even meaning to, but sometimes you hold a mirror to people when you get well. And it kind of, for them, it's too hard to see you getting well. It's too hard to spend time with you because they know in them that they need to get well and they can't, they're not ready.
and then you
So
basically just deflect it like Captain America
yeah.
type
Yeah,
thing.
so they avoid it, and you lose a lot of people along the way. I mean, you lose a lot of buddies that you really thought were your buddies, but they were drinking and party friends, and that's fine. But you also start to get excluded from things like you really start to realize who are those ride or die friends. And one of my ride or die friends, who still is, was the one person that called me out on my behavior in my 30s and said, "Look, I love you. I just don't like who you are right now."
And how'd you
And
take? And how'd you take that? That's
oh,
that's a massive thing, because
mm,
I know I'm very bloody blunt, and I keep it to myself. I don't mind taking things, but then there was the element of victim mode as well. I had to come to the thing and come to a conclusion. Someone's saying something to you for your betterment, but then you,
yeah.
as a victim, go, "Oh shit! Or have I heard someone?" But that's growth for ourselves in a lot of ways,
Mm.
but also, and also I always say, depending on who says it, how did you cope with that realization?
I think because it was led with love. She didn't say, "Look, you're being a dick and I don't want to be friends anymore." She actually said, "I love you," and started with that. "I just don't like who you are right now." And that hurt me so hard that I was hurting her. So I think some people, they either just avoid you or they can be a real asshole to you about it. But that because it came from the heart, and I know how much she loved me and still does. Um, we were actually in Bali at the time, and I got online because this was in my 30s, and back then you had to get on your desktop, and I booked myself into AA. And when I got back to Australia, I started AA. I took an abuse, and I gave up drinking for 3 months before I started drinking again. And that would happen another 2 times, 3 times before, you know, finally after all these years getting sober the last 4 years. But it took me then to see, a psychiatrist for a couple of years. He put me on some antidepressants, which were great, but the problem was I just kept abusing them. So I just kept adding them. I'd double the dose on a night out with alcohol. And so I've just found that it doesn't matter what you give me, I'm gonna find a way to to
To
use
get
it
it.
in the wrong way. Yeah.
Yeah, I get where you're going.
I'm going to find a way to numb myself still. Even an antidepressant's supposed to be a numbing, but added to alcohol. And so yeah, I just kind of realized that psychiatrist was amazing for me. Because that went all the way back, and that really, half of the thing with therapy is just telling your story, it being validated, and then releasing it in a manner that is safe, and it's
How'd you release it? How'd you release it?
yeah.
How?
Oh, during the psychiatrist meetings was actually just talking about it, actually releasing it, talking about it. It was very different to my healing journey, which I think began after all
There's
of
the
my
point.
therapy.
There's the point.
Yes,
Right. So we'll
yes,
hold that for the second. Yep, gotcha.
absolutely. But this was still stuff that I needed to say that I was angry about. And I'm like, I just needed to release the anger and say, this is the shit that happened, validate it that happened. And then I could actually, it stopped coming up all the time when I was drinking. So that was kind of the one good thing about it. And then in my 40s, at this stage, I was off the antidepressants, but I was taking like anti-anxiety tablets, a bit similar to Valium. And I was still mixing them with alcohol and still recreational drugs at this stage as well. So,
So
kind of couldn't feel.
where was your breaking point there, Bec? Where do you think? Where can you actually say, like you say, you see my books, straight to motivational coach, 15 lessons I received when I woke the fuck up. Available now. If available now when you email me, bloody there we go. Self-promoted, like you can say. But
and so you should do something to be proud of.
Absolutely. There was two moments for me. Obviously getting a comment that put me over the edge. I thought that when your foundation is actually broken, and then when on the side of the road thinking I'm having a bloody stroke, which I was because my head was that fucked up. I was bloody, the symptoms of a stroke came up for me. I'm going, Jesus, when did you? What was your breaking point?
I think it was definitely in my 40s, seeing my psychologist. All the chaos was still happening. I was blacking out, and he said something really simple to me, which is, Bec, some people just shouldn't drink. And it honestly was a light bulb moment to me to say, it doesn't matter how hard I try and how much therapy I do, I am just not one of those people that can drink. I can not numb, because I'll abuse it like I abuse tablets. And that was definitely a light bulb moment, that when, you know what, all this chaos that's going on around me, there's a common denominator, and it's me. I was blacking out. I just didn't care if I woke up. That's how I kind of got to. I just, I'd stay out till lunchtime the next day because I didn't want to go to sleep, because I didn't want to wake up. And I just, that feeling of not caring whether you wake up, that's a pretty low moment.
See, I had the moment where as you said, you've read my story. The third moment was when I tipped over the edge, when I was feeding my mind, and then Michael McNair actually during the Shadow Warrior course said, "Be careful what you feed your mind. You don't know what state you're in."
Yeah.
So if you're on that spiritual path and you do that, so obviously mine was when I went, and I said, I never drank much anyway, but when I did, I could have a good time and cut it off, no problem. This one just said, kill the pain. I still remember where I was standing. So that's how screwed up I was. So all three.
But it's great that you remember those moments.
You can't forget them when you're on the journey, or what we are, isn't it? Because we're on this journey now to help others to get, and to help ourselves, obviously, with this with the revelations that are coming to us. Like mine's remove the mask, write the story, and writing the book, and yours is sleep fearlessly. So you've had that resonation with those words. So whereabouts? When you made that turn, what kind of things did you do? And was it in South Australia? It was in South Australia, where you started.
Yeah,
sweet. Probably a nice place to do it too. Don't do it in bloody Sydney. Seriously, no offense to Sydney people, but it's a bit faster than Adelaide. There you go.
It is.
Clickbait.
It was in South Australia, and in 2020, I decided I was going to slow down. And then at the end of 2020, I went to a retreat.
Yep.
with my best friend, which I thought was going to be just really, a bit of yoga and a bit of swimming, and it absolutely tore me open. And I
Did they do all
first
those?
time,
Did they do all those charming principles where they got you to sit down, actually sit with yourself, and go,
oh yeah, it was
"Oh my
so deep.
god, oh my god."
Uh,
Yeah,
and
I've
so,
had that.
I ended up in tears, but I ended up saying, I got a problem with alcohol and I don't know who the fuck I am. I've got no idea who I am. And I was that's what I was most frightened of, was who am I if I'm not this party girl, if I'm not this person. And yeah, it was frightening, but it was also a massive release for me to say it out loud in a group of women. I got a problem and I need to fix it and I don't know how to, but I'm starting and here I am. And yeah, it was a bit like that, a lot of anxiety.
Excellent.
And but then after that, I went so hard at everything. I said yes to everything in the first year. I took up yoga, I took up meditation, I did women's circles, I did another retreat. I
That's
did
great though, because I mean, you're looking for
It's
answers.
amazing.
I did well, when I came out of what I did and I understood cortisol and understood all this. I was journaling. I started writing. I wrote, but I really embraced the
Yeah,
writing. Obviously my book's coming out, Journey of a Whitefeather. It's on. It'll be on Amazon in a couple of weeks. Anyway, there's no
excellent.
supplement, but writing, and then
Yeah,
understanding. And I think the big thing, would you agree, Beck, is actually we do all our healing and training with it behind closed doors in a lot of ways. It's basically bringing this new person out to the society. I think that's really huge. That I'm really
yeah,
huge thing. I mean, because you're gonna get resistance from the people that really don't give a shit. Let's be honest. Or go,
yeah,
you've changed. Yeah, I have, and I've worked out you're an asshole. Or I've worked out. Go, yep, I'm going here, and we'll walk off. You get where I'm going. You understand that, yeah?
absolutely. And I've done it. I've chosen to do it loudly, and I've chose that one to hold myself accountable, but also if my journey can save one person's life, then it's worth sharing that journey. And you once you get past the shame and which hit you does really hit you hard, especially in the first year, and it's something we often don't talk about, but the shame was hard to get through. All the shitty things that I'd done. Was I a good person? Yes, I was a good person. I just had a lot of trauma I hadn't dealt with. Did I have a problem with alcohol and drugs, or did I have a problem with dealing with my trauma? Probably the latter. And that was
And what a lovely way to put it.
yeah,
Look at the external.
self-medicating.
You look at the external. Like mine was food and sugary
Yeah,
food. As
okay.
you get that, and mate, food's a hit, man. Who has that hit going down the gullet? Oh, that feels good. It's the same
Yeah.
thing as drugs and alcohol. You get that hit. Oh, and then what? What happens?
Dopamine.
Dopamine hit because you haven't had it, because your subconscious is being programmed a particular way, and you're feeding it wrong.
Yeah.
You can't get a healthy body with you're feeding your body shit. But the same thing is two other things is what you feed your mind, and then what comes out of your mouth.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just an incredible journey. And like once it started, which was beautiful, it was kind of that first year, and then starting the pajamas, that all started really because I was staying home all the time and I wanted a pair of pajamas with an affirmation on it and I couldn't find it. And so I thought I'm going to make some for myself, which led to making them for other people. And Sleep Fearlessly came from the fact that I'd had trouble sleeping for years because I was out and about, and sleep was frightening to me because it meant waking up feeling like absolute shit or just waking up. And so it was like sleep fearlessly, with just knowing that you're safe, knowing that you're getting well. And so the pajamas were a really powerful statement for me to say.
Do you sell those now? Do you sell those now?
Yeah,
Go
yeah. I've got
give it a bit of a plug. We'll get what I need to do is I need to get some pictures so I can put them on your video, put it on the video. If you can send me
Yeah,
some pictures,
absolutely.
if you don't
And they
mind.
can read your story. It's on the same website. So it's www.sleepfearlessly.com.au, and they're organic cotton pajamas. They have the affirmation that's printed in reverse so you can read it in the mirror. So when you get up in the morning, you look in the mirror, you see, I am free, I'm strong, I am fearless. All of these beautiful affirmations to remind you of your journey. And same thing when you go to bed at night. So it was
Awesome.
really.
Amazing.
After that, I did the Master Holistic Counselling course to try and start helping others. And the thing I'm most proud of besides the pajamas is becoming a respite carer for a little 5-year-old boy. So foster caring for him every month. It just, and being able to help him now through his life is, yeah, like by far my biggest accomplishment since being sober for 4 years. So he's brought so much joy to my life and my family's life. And
God,
yeah,
you've done some wonderful things. As I said, we'll get we'll get the website, we'll get a couple of still shots, and we'll put it up there so you can get. But it's powerful how, you know, and we have to look at how have you found readjusting what you're doing into the world we're living now? Because I think you feel like you, I mean, I can hear it in your voice. You want to help people, and we are in this age of Aquarius. We know what's going on, whether we, you know, obviously I'm massively into what's going on in America and Canada and all that. I can see the eagle. Let's look at the eagle. I can see what's going on here. And when you're connected to the earth as we are, it's hard not to stand up. And that's why, for me, I've only done 4 episodes of the Robin Hood Effect, which is my second podcast, which is a chat with Jay, but it's a chat with me. I've never spoken. I speak all the time. I teach, I do this, I do this, I do this. I might go do a course. Or have I spoken from that heart chakra? No, now I'm letting fly because I've had the training. This is what people don't get. You train, as you said.
Yeah. Oh, look, I just try and lead with love and positivity and, you know, my story to people as well. And I don't preach to people to not drink or not do this or not do that. I just try and show them that it can be a wonderful, peaceful, beautiful life without it. You don't have to self-medicate. There is ways in which you can heal. And that it is a journey, but it is on you. There's no quick fix. You have to do the work, but if I could bottle it and give it to people, Jay, I would. This feeling of just being free, which is what my top says, I am free. That's the first time I felt free and at peace my whole life in the last 4 years.
Well, it's like getting my voice. As I said, doing the Robin Hood Effect now, having these synchronicities, which we'll talk in the next episode about that, because I'm sure you've got a fair few synchronicities that have happened in your life now that have made sense. Yeah. That, you know, you can talk about it because you've gone through it. And I think it's very hard to explain unless you be very blunt with people about what's happening within your circle and where you've been. I mean, Victor Otto, he was a former drug addict. You know, Diana, my friend who does life theory, she'll tell you straight up she did drugs and stuff, you know. You know, Cortez in England, he's told me that. So there's people coming back from abuse, you know, and the amount of people that I've spoken to, including yourself, have this great rapport with yourselves now. And you just really want to teach. And this is why I do what I do.
Yeah. And it's such a good platform to do that. And we need people like you because we can all tell our stories individually, but I think there's power in coming together. And yeah, so appreciative of that. And for you, what's really surprised me is the sober community on TikTok and the amount of support on there. It's a platform that you don't expect it, but yeah, I think it's like anything. When you're looking for something, you'll find it. And I mean, I've been a part of a She Recovers group as well, but I've also found so much solace and support and camaraderie in TikTok, which I never expected to find, but it's been
I'll tell you, I've done the same. I've got friends, they'll be watching this. They know who they are.
Yeah.
It's really funny that you, like, I got a friend of mine call me last night and we've actually physically never met. But it's one of those things where you go, hang on a minute. Your energy's up here now. You're attracting these great people with the same energy. Look deeper into what's going on. They think deep. People do not critically think there, Bec. They don't critically think and they're not aware. I don't think so anyway. A lot of them are, especially in Australia.
Yeah.
But on that note, we'll wind up part 1, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, how honest is this, man? This is exactly why I do what I do. And I'm very fortunate to have this platform and Thank you very much, Bec, for coming on. And let's have a break. You can have a Kit Kat if you want. Go get a drink. I'll go rest this voice a bit because I'm still YMCAing in here. I'll tell you that much. And we'll look forward to speaking to Bec in part 2. We're going to talk a little bit about where she's going in life. And I think it's going to be very interested, especially go and jump on her website, Sleeping Fearlessly. Look forward to number 2. Have a break. Take care. We'll speak to you soon.